Hello. I hope you guys are all doing very well on this fine Thursday. My name is Jerome Mbaga, and welcome to Free to Grow. This is my new podcast, my very first podcast, and I'm really excited to get to know all of you, for you guys to get to know me better, and for this to just be a really fun and unique ride for both of us. So a little bit of history on me. As I said before, my name is Jerome Mbaga. I recently just graduated high school. I'm from Toronto, Canada. And now I'm uploading this in July, so it's been about a month since I've graduated high school. I'm going to university next year for medical science. I'm hoping to become a doctor. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm working over the summer right now at a kids' day camp, which is super fun, something I really enjoy. And I have a lot of time on my hands. Being in school with a lot of the extracurriculars I did and commitments I had throughout the year, and just life in general, I didn't have too much time to start a podcast, but I've always really wanted to start a podcast, because I've just always had so much to say, so much to say. I'm definitely a yapper, but I also loved having conversations with my friends on a variety of levels about absolutely anything, whether it's just hearing about their day, what they are up to over the weekend, what makes them happy, what they're sad about. I've just always been that, or at least tried to, always been that friend for those around me, so that they feel comfortable, that they can always, they always have someone to go talk to. And I love it. I really love being a listener. And when I get to have those conversations, really nice, late night conversations with a friend while we're grabbing pizza, sitting on a curb or something, or I'm just laying on a couch on my phone with one of my buddies, whether that's I'm sitting on the beach with my girlfriend and we're just talking. It's just that is really what I live for, or especially around campfires. That's really what I live for. So you could tell I like talking. And so that's why I'm here starting a podcast. And when I went about this journey, I think I really committed to starting a podcast now in this point in time about 2-3 weeks ago. I was really scared and confused on what to call it, because I just had no clue where to start, and I also didn't really have a niche that I could yap on about every single week. I'm not that into one particular thing, which I think is something I like, but also something that I could see myself getting into as well. So yeah, that's why I called it Free to Grow. I felt that I had a lot of freedom in the decisions of what I get to talk about. I felt that it really encapsulates what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to grow into a better human and a better person for the people in life around me. So basically, I love talking, and I've always felt misunderstood throughout my life, because I come from a very traumatic family history in childhood. So about 7 months ago, I ran away from home. I emotionally had left my house, let's say, some odd 12 years ago, but physically leaving my house and leaving what was under the care of my mom happened 7 months ago. It was during school, right around my birthday. I was 16 years old at the time. Now I'm 17, but I'm turning 18. But it was in October. And that was very rough. I had no clue what to do. I just knew something had to change. Because it was coming from a place where my home life was really affecting my life at school, which is the worst end game for me ever. I just wasn't eating at all because there wasn't food available. I just wasn't coming back to a warm, welcoming space, and it was a dangerous environment to be in. Let's put it that way. And so you can tell that I'm one for making big leaps into something. And so it was really scary at first. There were some nights where there wasn't a place to stay, for sure. But for a majority of the nights, I leaned on my friends, my closest friends around me, that have been my guiding support through the entirety of me knowing them. I slept at a lot of their houses for extended periods of time, whether that be like one day or a month, 2 months. And then, especially, she's also my friend, but my girlfriend as well. I leaned on her, I say, the most, as I live with her. I live with my girlfriend, which is, I feel like, every teenage relationship's dream, or maybe nightmare once they really move in. But I've been living with my girlfriend for the past, like, officially moved in like February, but I was in and out since, I want to say, December. So let's just call it, let's call it 6 months. I'm not smiling. Let's just call it 6 or 7 months. And I pushed through. I didn't really have the time to start something like this, like a podcast then, because I was just really scared on how I'm going to get to go to university, because I love learning. And so that's where I was at. I was terrified. But luckily I have amazing friends, an amazing girlfriend. This is like a friend group I've been with for years, and I've been dating my girlfriend for coming up on 2 years in a month-ish. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about me. I know that sounds like a lot, and definitely trauma dumping, but that's literally what a podcast is for, because it's mine. But I don't want this podcast to necessarily be all serious. There definitely will be some times where I'll go into a topic and be like, whoa, I did not know this about Jerome, whether you know me in real life or this is the first time you're meeting me. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff going on in my life all the time. So let's move on to a bit of a lighter topic and talk about what makes me happy. So I'll start off by listing some hobbies. I love my hobbies. I definitely come from a crazy life, but somehow through like an infinite amount of people that have helped me, whether it's through financial aid, emotional support, physical support in my journey, it's just like amazing. Anyways, I'm a huge camping dude / canoe tripping dude. I've been going to this one camp called Camp Candidly, best camp in the world. If your parents and your kids there, if you're my age, work there next summer. Yeah, if you are there right now, amazing. I'm jealous. But amazing place, and it's really my home. It's definitely the place I've been in the longest, because I've started going to Camp Candidly when I was, I think, 4 or 5, maybe 6. I don't know. 4 or 5 or 6, and I went back basically every single summer since then. I think there was 1 or 2 summers I missed since then, but from 5 or 6 years old until 16 years old, I was at Camp Candidly, and it was spectacular. I just grew so much as a person. I learned to love outdoors, which I think is a bit of a rarity amongst, well, I wouldn't say now, but maybe the next generation of kids. So I'm very happy that I learned to like appreciate outdoors and love it. It's like amazing. Anyways, moving on. I love canoe trips and camping because I get to be weird, I get to be outside, and I get to be a part of the team. And that's like everything I love. Next, I really like singing, dancing, and acting. Some people know this. If you look at my Instagram, you'll definitely figure that one out, because I have a lot of posts of me like singing, I think 3 or 4, who knows. Anyways, I tried my school's musical this year, Footloose, amazing, would do it again a billion times over. My music teacher, Mr. Oat, actually wanted me to join in like grade 7, grade 8. He was like, Jerome, join. And I could never really explain that I just didn't have the time to do that, because life was exploding in front of my face. I joining a musical and like committing myself to hours of rehearsal every single day was just not a possibility. But if I'm going to be more honest, I was scared. I was very scared about how my peers were going to look at me and judge me as like kind of a theater kid, which I probably am now. I'm not like a super theater kid. No disrespect to theater kids, but I was really scared of how my peers were going to look at me, and kind of lose that like alpha male personality kind of thing. Like, what's this dude doing, jumping and skipping around in a cowboy costume on stage? But it was so fun. It was so fun. I'm really happy that I got to join it in the last year of grade 12. I made so many friends that I value so much and will always value so much. And just the experience of throwing myself there on stage with my crewmates was just impeccable and amazing. This was also not the first time I did that. I danced for around 10 years when I was growing up at a dance school called Randolph. I did jazz, ballet, tap, hip-hop, acro, triple threat, whole shebang. So I've been in that space for a long time. But even then, I was pretty scared. But I was a lot less scared because no one at my school really knew I was doing it. I was kind of just doing it. And also, it wasn't when I transferred to my high school. Like, I went to the school for middle school and high school. It was an all-boys school. I kind of stopped when I went into that school. Not because of it, but because of COVID. COVID hit when I entered grade 7, which is when I transferred to the school. It's called St. Michael's College School, aka St. Mike's. But yeah, I kind of stopped doing it then because COVID stopped for a year. I kind of just never went back because I was scared of how my peers were going to look at me. But I also did acting at this place called the YPT, Young People's Theaters, for also 10 years. Where I just took a bunch of acting classes. We do like a end of the year show kind of thing. Nothing insane, but it was cool. And so yeah. Third, I love Molly UN and debating. Love it. Pretty much all to say there. I was walking the hall one day in grade 7 and this random grade 12 dude walked up to me and said, "Yo, you, little kid, do you like to debate and talk?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." And he was like, "All right, come in here." And I thought I was getting kidnapped. But it's okay because it was just my school hallway. And that's how I joined Molly UN. Huge part of who I am today. Not in just the fact that, like, I like to debate, but also just in my confidence as a public speaker, my confidence to, like, put myself out here in front of all you guys, my confidence to put myself out there on the stage, the musical, but also just shaping my values as a person because I became a lot more aware of the situation of the world, how different people experience life, which is just a really good thought, but also a terrifying thought. And so, yeah, it just made me more aware of the world in general. There's still definitely tons I have to learn, but I would consider myself somewhat aware of the situation of the world and where my moral compass lies, kind of thing. I also, short note, I love biology, which is why I'm hoping to become a doctor. I just find it so cool. Oh, there's a fire truck outside. That's not good. Whoops. Anyways, I don't know if you guys can hear that. Anyways, I love biology because it just, like, makes my head explode with questions, and I love it. I love watching anime. That's my fourth one. Anime. Don't troll me. Don't hang up the episode right now. I promise I'm not going to start doing anything crazy or abnormal. I only do that around my friends, don't worry. Yeah, well, you guys are my friends, but I only do that around my close group of friends. My girlfriend, don't worry. I can get really weird. But I love anime. My favorite one is probably One Piece, which people criticize because it's too long. It's like 1,000 and something episodes. I love it. I'm caught up. But I watch a ton of anime, and Attack on Titan is probably my favorite. Please go watch Attack on Titan. Please. If you know me in real life, you've probably heard me say go watch Attack on Titan to you. And if I brought it up once to you, I probably repeated it to your face like every single day. So one more time, go watch Attack on Titan, please. And lastly, I'll go with the fifth, or maybe it's the sixth one. I don't know. I love listening to music. My favorite artist is Kendrick Lamar, which I somehow got to be able to see live because my girlfriend's parents bought us tickets. I love Tyler, the Creator, Zach Bryan, country, and the Beatles. That's probably my favorite. And so that's kind of like a maybe like all my hobbies and interests can kind of give you a better picture of who I am, whether or not you know me in real life, or depending how well you know me in real life, kind of thing. But I'm also starting this podcast because I want to be a better person to those in my life. And so, circling back real quick, I talked about in the beginning how I was struggling on finding a name for the podcast and starting, because everyone was like, oh, you have to have a niche, and I was like, I'm not going to sit here and yap about anime all day. I'm not going to sit here and yap about like Molly UN all day or camping or anything, because I'm not like a camping god. But I came across this one video where the lady said, don't wait so long to start a podcast because you don't have a niche to start yet. You are your niche. And that just like blew my mind up. I was just watching on YouTube and I was like, okay, you spitting. Because I think I have a very unique life, but everyone has a very unique life because every life is unique. My life is crazy, but relative to a lot of other people, it might not be that crazy. But it is pretty crazy, I'd say. But besides the craziness, just the person I've shaped myself into become now, and the person I envision for myself, and all of the journeys that I'm not sure which journeys I'm going to have to take to get there. I just know there are going to be a lot of them, and they're going to be a lot of fun ones. And so I was like, bang, that's the niche. Jerome Mbaga. Jerome Mbaga is the niche. And so I'm trying to keep it as open-ended as possible, free to grow. This podcast is free to grow into whatever it can be. But I'm also free to grow into whatever I would like to be. And you guys are going to be a part of that journey. And hopefully, by listening to me, that can help you in your journey into growing into the person you would like to become. So I'm sure you will find this podcast very, very, very relatable, circling back now, because I often have a relationship or trait that's relatable to a lot of other people. Meaning, I've been a child, but I've also been in a parental role with some of my siblings, which is kind of complicated to navigate. I wouldn't say like a full parental role, but like there's a parental role of my siblings, also more a parental role of myself. So I've been a child, and I've also been acting somewhat as a parent. I've been a brother because I have 4 older siblings, 2 sisters, 2 brothers. Love them to death. They are amazing. Amazing people. And I've been a good sibling to them, and I've been a bad sibling to them. There's a lot of room for improvement there. But they're still amazing, and I think I'm pretty okay. I've been like a full sibling, because 2 of them, my siblings, I'm full siblings with them. Then my brothers, I don't even know what the word is for it. It's also confusing, like the difference between half and step. I don't even know, but I've been there too. I've been an exemplary child where parents are like, oh my gosh, look at Jerome, he's so amazing. And then I've also been like the absolute worst parent's nightmare if you were to ask my mom or maybe my dad. I've been a good boyfriend to my girlfriend, and I've been a bad boyfriend. I'm not saying me personally, but I've lived lifestyles that I would say are rich, due to me living with some friends that are wealthily inclined. I've been very rich, and I've also been very poor. I've been homeless. I've been starving. I've been just poor, very poor. I've been the smart kid in class, and I've also been the class clown or the dumb kid. Sometimes those are different. I've been very introverted in points of my life, and I've been very extroverted in points of my life. I've been a people pleaser, and I've been a bully. I've been a happy-go-lucky kind of dude, and I've been insanely depressed in points of my life. And so I've also been a very non-athletic person, and recently now I've been somewhat of an athletic person. So you get what I'm saying. I just have a lot of different traits, either right now or in different points in my life that aren't too far off from now. that are relatable to a lot of different type of people. So I'm not necessarily gearing this to one specific person or demographic. I'm kind of gearing it to everybody. I want it to be people my age. I want it to be their parents. I want it to be my old teachers, my teachers next year, like anybody who wants to listen. Males, females, whatever. I don't care. Because we are all free to grow into whatever we would like to be. And so that's what I hope this podcast to be. However, among all those traits and relationships and life positions that I just listed, people have often told me sometimes that there is something special about me. And I do not mean that in any cocky way whatsoever. And I can't mean that in any cocky way because I don't know what it is. I have no clue what it is. And I promise you, I'm not trying to be cocky at all. I think everyone is special. And I always try to see like the best in every single person I can meet and all that kind of stuff. But I think I've come to know that when someone says that to me, I think all they mean is they can see that I'm in pursuit of something. I have this kind of, I wasn't aware that I show it out loud, but I have this sense to me that I'm kind of always moving. And sometimes that can be a bad thing, and sometimes that can be a good thing. That can be a bad thing because I'm used to always moving in kind of like a fight or survive kind of thing. But I think it's starting to positively translate into moving towards my goals and chasing a better version of myself constantly. And so I narrowed it down to a very, very, very dark point in my life. So before I say that, people are like, okay, well, yeah, you're in the pursuit of something. Everyone's in the pursuit of something. Everyone has like some big goal. Okay. But then I was thinking, okay, to narrow it down to what it is, I have to find out where it started. People are like, oh, it started when you were born. Wrong. My birth started weird right off the bat. Because before I was even born, my dad, very bad dude, tried to convince my mom to have an abortion. And she did not accept it for a long time. And then eventually she did. And you must be thinking, well, she got an abortion. Jerome, how are you here? What? This doesn't make sense. The math is not adding up. Well, that is because it failed. Wah, wah. And so it failed, and here you are listening to some random dude's podcast in 2025. So that's where I started off from. And I just lived like a life of extreme I'd say depression and confusion because I think I was right to be because I just didn't know what in the world was going on. So throughout my childhood, I moved around a ton, like a ton, all over the map. But I found a home in my school. And I'd say St. Michael's College School was definitely a huge part of my life that I'm forever indebted for because I found a huge community of people that were so willing to support me and guide me throughout my journey. They didn't even know my journey, a lot of them, but so willing to guide me through it. Which is why I'm here today. Because I really loved that school. So it came to a point where I think it was grade 9, if I'm estimating correctly. Grade 9, yes. Grade 9, I want to say... This is grade 9. I think this was January. I don't know. I think it was January. I think so. Grade 9 January. Mom comes up to me and she's like, yeah, me and your dad are getting a divorce. They had been divorced from like the marriage was like over from before he was even born, really. But he was still living in the house and there was just so much stuff going on where it's just like, how did that last like 10 years? Or like, how are you like mid-divorce for 10 years and still living in the same house and still like, I don't know, whole shebangle. Anyways, and she was like, yeah, we're gonna have to move. And I was like, hell no. That was like the worst sentence I could ever hear, ever. Because everywhere I moved, I still went to the same school. So I was like, no, I can't lose my school. I can't lose my friends. I can't lose science class. I can't lose biology. I can't lose MUN. I can't lose like the music program at the school. And that would even sometimes like it potentially mean I was gonna lose my camp too. And I was like, no, I can't. That was the only thing I had going. The only thing that was keeping me up. And so we went to the town. The town's called Coburg. It's in Ontario, Canada. If you live in Coburg, I'm sorry if this offends you. I hope not. Hopefully you're a really great person. But anyways, we went to Coburg for an open house for the school there. I forgot the name. It's like, I don't know, one of schools in the town, or one of two. I don't know. And I was the only black person there. And they were very racist. I was walking in the hall and they were just like parting like the Red Sea when I was in there. I think for a lot of the children, it was their first time seeing a black person ever. And just like I'd hear comments, like I was just like walking in the hall, just like looking at the school, and they were like, "Oh, it smells like fried chicken." And I was like, "Whoa, crazy out of left field there, whoa." And so I remember leaving the open house, and I was like, "Wow." I thought maybe even if I was gonna move, it would be to somewhere that like I can maybe start over, maybe, or even like it'd be somewhat bearable. But I was like, this is infinitely worse. And so we left the school and we went back to like this little house that we were staying in. It was like one of my mom's. I don't even know. She was renting out like this, like it's like a loft kind of above a garage. It's like an apartment above their garage, and they live in a farm. So basically, we're renting out attic kind of on a farm. Really weird. Anyways, we went back there after school showing, and I said I'm gonna go on a walk. Before I left, I went to the kitchen, which was very small. This place was very small. It was an attic. Anyways, I went to the kitchen and I took a knife from the drawer. Don't get too worked up here because obviously I'm still here. But anyways, I left and I walked down this dirt road in forest for a very long time until I walked off the dirt road into the forest, like foliage, and I came to this spot, dead in the middle of the forest. There was snow on the ground. I remember it. I was freezing. I had the knife in my hand, and I was ready to commit suicide at that moment. And that was a very, very, very dark place in my life. I'd been in that dark place for about a year then, maybe even more. Well, I'd been in that dark place for the entirety of my life, but like really dark for about a year there. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And thank God I couldn't. And so I took the knife, poked one of my fingers. It was this finger. I poked a dot in this finger so I could remember. Took the knife and I chucked it as far as I could. Actually, before all this happened, when I was going to commit suicide, I just remember crying, just like bawling on my knees in the snow. No one was there at all. Like this was like a really, really, really remote place. Around like this random forest. And I'm just crying and crying and crying. But I couldn't because what glimpsed in my mind was my school. St. English College School and the teachers I had there and the clubs and activities I had there. And so I just couldn't. And so I threw the knife into the forest and I made my way back. And here we are. After that, I basically moved out of my mom's place. I was like, well, screw this. I'm not moving here. I texted one of my friends. I won't say his name because maybe he wants his own privacy. Texted one of my friends and I was like, yo, this is random, but can I live with you? He texted me back later that day. He was like, yeah, I'm going to ask my parents. I move in with him for a year. A lot of stuff happens between that time, and we'll get into that later. But it was in that moment when I was in the forest and I was crying on the ground, about to kill myself, where I was fed up I was fed up with being chained down with my life situation, and I was fed up of being deprived from the life that I wanted, and the passion I wanted to put into my life, and the kindness I wanted to give. I was just so fed up with it all that I knew it couldn't be there. And so what I'm in pursuit of is freedom. I'm in pursuit of freedom. I'm in pursuit of freedom from everyday's life challenges, the huge challenges that life always throws in front of me, and freedom from like my own negative human side, I'd say, that we all have. But I think that's also just part of being human. But I'm also trying to create and look for freedom with my time, whether that be like hanging out with certain people, investing in like hobbies that I enjoy and going places that I enjoy, and not working like a miserable job and anything. But that's kind of unavoidable. Freedom with my money, which means spending it responsibly for myself, which I can also share with you guys how I do that. And freedom with my emotions, my freedom to give passion to everything that I want to do, and like don't have to care about how everyone else is looking at me, or how I'm supposed to act as like a child or as a male, or any of that stuff kind of thing. And so I'm trying my best to do that by having as many different types of friends as possible, so I can expose myself to all the possibilities of like who I can become, kind of thing. Try as many hobbies as I can, travel as much as I can. I'm extremely broke, so that one's kind of not really there. It's a work in progress. And I'm trying to stay healthy, which is something I honestly want to improve on more, and I want to be consistent with more, and living that YOLO life, however cringe that sounds. This is YOLO right now. I really only live once, so there's no reason why I shouldn't document it. I'm going to wrap up there. But thank you so much for tuning in to Free to Grow. I'm sure this is going to be an amazing experience for both of us. If you have any requests of what you want an episode to be, whether that be like a question from like your own life, you can submit that anonymously. I'm going to set that up. Or publicly, you can just DM me on Instagram at Jerome.Mbaga on Instagram. Say, hey, this is my situation, blah, blah, blah. I can give advice for it. Or if you just want me to like talk about anything that's going on in the world, or an interesting topic, anything you just want to hear me talk about, shoot it to me. The DMs. Drop a follow/subscribe on whatever platform you're on, so that, or add it to your library, or whatever platform you're on. Just save it, follow it, subscribe to it, so that you can listen to my episode next week on Thursday. We're dropping every single Thursday, so please tune in. And then, if you could, a little task for you, since I was so open, a little trade-off here. Send this episode to 2 people that you think would benefit from hearing it, or just 2 people in general, and maybe you can open them to something new. Maybe. I am terrified, because I have no clue what's coming next. I have so much to improve on as a person, that I want to improve on, and I'm a little scared of how like people are going to view me for this podcast, if I'm going to be so real. But I'm not actually really, but there's always like a fair amount. I don't think that fear will ever go away completely, because obviously I'm posting this. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. It means the absolute world to me. Shoot me some feedback if you think it sounds great or good. Tell me to me in person. I don't know. I'll catch you later. Thank you for being a part of my journey, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of yours. And see you next Thursday. Thank you, crew.